Well, it looks like we're back. And we've gone back to the darker setup, which I think I like better from one of the couple of live videos. So we're trying this again. I promised we wouldn't talk about more setup stuff, and for the most part, there's not really much to say that has changed setup wise. So that's a good thing. And I really wanted to talk about today. Wanted to pull the curtain back a little bit. I think that's the best way that I could describe it. And I'm going to preface that by first saying thank you to everyone that's watched. The last video where I kind of really got into a very serious topic, that was probably the most views that I've gotten to date so far. And that only went up on Wednesday. And I am really, really proud and happy. Actually, no, I think it went up Tuesday night. I don't want to start off by being factually incorrect. But it went up just a couple days ago. It's already gotten a couple hundred views. I'm very happy, with it. I'm very proud of that discussion, conversation, even as it continued on in the comments. I would tell any and all of you, you can engage me in the comments. I will definitely, happily engage and oblige in doing that because I think it's the greatest way that we could possibly interact because if you're watching this, you're a camera right now. You're not a person. I can't talk to you here. This isn't a two-way conversation. So the only way to continue the conversation is through comments. So by all means, please feel free to comment as much as you like. And, I will certainly be active in the comments and engaging as much as it's within my nature to be engaging, I guess. So that's that. So anyway, today I really got into thinking about videos and why I like making them so much. And I honestly believe it is because this is a format where I feel comfortable being very open. And it allows me to kind of expand on my ideas and to kind of get things that are trapped in here out and to unleash my perspective, which some of you get to get glimpses of here or there, but for the most part, it kind of remains, trapped. Well, at least not trapped, but just unexpressed. And this is a great way of being able to get those things out and doing that. But if you've noticed, I said they're kind of trapped. And it's the truth because in my day-to-day life, every day, and I'm certainly sure that my wife would be the first one to tell you, getting me to talk when I don't feel like speaking about something or about what's on my mind or about things that I feel, it is tough. Now, I'll talk about sports or I'll talk about tech or I'll talk about, the things that I think are cool and interesting. I'll talk about those things for certain, but to talk about the real stuff that's close to the vest, I don't really do it too often. So it gets kind of bottled up. And I think one of the things that I enjoy about this the most, honestly, is the ability to get those things out. Even though I kind of hate letting those things out, which is really the point of this today because that literally makes no sense that this is a way of doing something that I don't like to do, yet I like it. In fact, I quite enjoy it a bit. And that just is a paradox that literally makes zero sense. And I think that that is the core of who I am. I am just a rolling bunch of contradictions that somehow all come together to make a person. And it's weird. I've always been oddly creeped out by what feels like two completely polar opposite ends of my personality. And I've always felt like I've just constantly being pulled in between the two. And it is really, really, really interesting and really, really, really odd. So the big question, the question for today's video really is, so what the hell is a Damon anyway? Like, how did this come to be? How could I have possibly ended up this particular way? And it's an interesting question that I really didn't get a chance to think about where this was going to go until I started sitting down and writing out the questions and really kind of getting into the thought of what this video could be. And I think that that process kind of was not a reveal, because I think that that information has been in the back of my head for a while, but it was something that's gone kind of unexpressed. It's something I've never really kind of let out loud. So on the surface, I'll tell you this. I am a person that is just a rolling bag of contradiction, for sure. That is true. Like 100% true. So true it's ridiculous. I am quite literally a serious goofball. I enjoy being goofy. I have goofy outbursts, but for the most part, I'm probably one of the most serious, dry people you could ever meet. And there are people that would hear that I'm goofy at all and go, "What? No, he's not," because they've never gotten to see that side of me. Yet I am boisterously giddy at times, and it is absolutely fun to be that way, when the time arises. But for the most part, I go back into this mercantile, like, just work, and move forward, kind of operation. I am absolutely dependent on order and logic. Chaos makes me nuts. I can't handle it. If things need to be in order, I need to have things set out. Even setting up all of this stuff, I think the oddly beautiful part that I like about it is that there's a process to follow and that there are rules to be established, and I like to follow those rules. I like to do those things. So that is a definite core part of who I am, but at the same time, I am amazingly defiant and just refuse to be categorized or put into any kind of box. I refuse to be one of the things that can be neatly sorted out and to put in one particular area, and I fight against that. I also hate the status quo. I just can't take it. I cannot tolerate the simple idea that we do something in one particular way because it's the way we've always done it. If I can conceive of a better way of doing something, I will throw the status quo out of the window in a heartbeat and just go into what I feel is the more efficient way of doing it. So to really boil all of that down, I am an order-seeking rule breaker, but not for reckless or chaos. It's out of the pure pursuit for improvement, to do things better, to try to find a way to become better. The thing that I wake up with in my mind every day is, how can I be better today than I was yesterday? How can I take whatever happened yesterday, whether it was good or bad, and improve upon it? And that is kind of, one of the things that becomes like my core characteristic that I believe. Now, here's the interesting thing. I really believe that one of the key things to my personality is really understanding how to be honest with myself about who and what I am at all times, the things that I'm good at, things that I'm bad at, and not, and I don't have another way of saying it, but just not being susceptible to my own bullshit. And I actually had a conversation today with someone that is, also emblematic of these traits. And, that conversation was really awesome. And it kind of helped me with the concept of this video idea and that simple thing of just being able to come to grips with who you are. And with being able to do that, you're able to make something incredible of yourself. I really believe it. I only wish that more people had the courage to look themselves in the mirror that way and to be honest, to be very honest, to be unflappable in the face of your own shortcomings. I think that ability is something that really gives you your greatest ability to become the best version of yourself. And this has been something that's been literally a part of my life for as long as I can remember. In fact, this story is one that, I do bring up every so often, but it goes back to the earliest memory I have of hearing a voice in my head that really pushed me in this direction. So when I started grammar school, right in the ripe old age of kindergarten, so I guess that's what, 4, 5, 6. What is that? It's 5. I think it's 5. Started school, and a child that was fine at home began to stutter. It became bad, and it was literally unintelligible nonsense coming out of the mouth of this 5-year-old. And at first, it was only in school, and then it was in school, and when I became overexcited at home, and then it was slowly but surely going into being all the time, to the point where they had to put me into speech therapy. It was the only thing anybody could think of to do. And in speech therapy, we played games, we did all these different things to try to help remember the rules of being able to properly enunciate. So, this process was difficult for me, and I kind of struggled to get it, and it was really tough. It's really, really tough. And one day, while in speech therapy, we were playing a game, and instead of going through the steps where they made us think about the words and say them slowly and try not to stutter, it was playing the game but then saying the words in a kind of cadence. So if you were playing Candyman, you would count out, your moves, but you would, instead of counting, it would be, counting to a cadence. So like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, like you're almost counting music, or literally saying what you were doing to that same kind of sing-songy type cadence. And as it turned out, when doing things like that, I would never actually stutter at all. Just would do it when I was doing those particular things. So then one day, it was, hey, how about you just sing something? Just take anything that you knew. And at the time, I was a church kid, so church hymns. That's what I knew. I went to a Catholic school, so it was kind of funny to do, Baptist standards in a Catholic school. That was actually pretty funny to me, bringing those two worlds together. But the interesting thing about it was that no matter what the music was, the result was always the same. There was no stuttering. And my speech therapist, she just found it to be really interesting, and she said, well, you can't really have this problem where it turns off. It's like if you can turn it off to do certain functions, you can turn it off entirely. You can master this. And she devised a way to do it. She really did. But the cornerstone of that was through music. And I'm really, really, really thankful. And I'll never forget her name, Mrs. De Palma. And she was the first person to champion me without a reason. She saw that she could help me, and she did. And she put a lot of effort into it. And I will always be forever grateful for everything, that she did, for helping me discover the thing that will go on to save my life more time than once, because this is only the first time that music saved my life. And I don't mean that as a way of being, just putting more hyperbole into the world. I sincerely mean that about music. It helped me discover having a voice at all. Because at that time, out of fear of sounding foolish, I was terrified to speak just about anywhere at any time. And I was essentially a mute. Would just sit there tight-lipped and bundled with this anxiety, which I would come to figure out later on was the monster fuel that kind of made that whole thing work. But music was how I learned to overcome it. And from finding my voice in that one particular way, I slowly but surely began to come out of a shell that I had put myself in. I mean, that lasted maybe up to the third or fourth grade, where I just became accustomed to not really wanting to speak much, if ever, at all. So, thank you to Mr. Palmer and thank you to music for helping me to discover that. During that time frame, I began to write. Writing was my way of being able to express myself. It was the only way that I had at the time where I could express myself clearly, where no one had to ask me two or three times to repeat something, that I could write something and they could read it and they got it the first time. And that became joyous to me. And I couldn't turn my back on writing. Writing became something that I've always kind of loved. But the obsession with music started, because that was the first time that someone had ever asked me to repeat something. And it wasn't because they didn't understand it. It was because they enjoyed it and they wanted to hear it again. And that became the first time that I was able to audibly be happy. So it was recommended that I sing as much as possible. So I joined choirs in church. I got into it. And that's where the lifelong musical connection, really started, because now I was suddenly involved with people and able to talk to them about the songs that we were singing and learning for church to perform in the choir. And I went from being a person that was, just in there, one of the altos, doing your thing, to being able to stand out and begin to solo at church, and then also joining choirs in school and singing solo songs in front of the entire school. And that transformation went from being a kid that was afraid to speak publicly in front of anyone, at all, ever, period. And it evolved into that. Going into that, realizing that my ability to write was super important to me, but then also now having the ability to articulate myself in spoken form, not just with singing and music, but to actually speak, became really important, that I was able to express myself clearly and concisely. Being misunderstood is one of the things that still will drive me nuts to this day, which is probably why I'm so driven to be careful when I speak, to make sure that I am expressing myself in exactly the manner that I need to convey the message that I am trying to get out at any one particular moment. But it was because I really felt like I had years where I was stifled into not being able to speak at all. So from my greatest weakness, I began to find my strength. And that juxtaposition, that seemingly paradoxical situation, became what defined me. My drive for self-improvement came from that particular era in my life. That's my oldest memory of it. The first time that I said to myself, I'm going to be able to do this. I will win. I will find a way. And through the genius of others, through their compassion, and through a just completely relentless pursuit of being able to make it work, I was able to speak. I went from being able to only speak when I sang to being able to speak and sing, but always through someone else's words, to finally being able to articulate my own words that I had been writing, but never able to really speak. And ultimately, I rode that to becoming a 2-year in a row, junior and senior year, debate team champion, even though for debate we called it forensics, and my event in and of itself was extemporaneous speech, which quite literally was. an event where I had to give a 5 to 7 minute speech that you couldn't write down. You had to organize your thoughts, get them together on literally a index card, one index card. Then you had to go into a room full of people and deliver it. You had to deliver a speech that was a speech, an oration that managed to convince and to move. And doing that was terrifying the first time. The very first time, every word about the description of the event in and of itself was something I thought that I could not possibly do. And that is exactly what seemingly attracted me to it. It was like a moth to a flame, and I went directly at it, which is another layer of just my makeup, the things that terrify me, the things that fascinate me the most. And I went right at it. And I went right at it my freshman year of high school, and I continued at it both through being terrible that year to being okay my sophomore year in the beginning to being fairly good at it by the time my sophomore year ended, to the point where, when we started up junior year, it was, hey, you're ready to lead. You're ready to do this whole thing. So while that was an amazing thing to kind of accomplish in and of itself, we come forward all this time and we get to the present, and here I am, an adult, has a job, primarily, has one of the core components of what I do being public speaking. So just take someone that was at 8 years old, still terrified to speak at all, and to come this far, to come all the way around. I mean, just completely rotate this thing to the point where not only do I feel comfortable speaking, at work or in front of groups of strangers or on webinars with a couple hundred people scattered throughout there, I am now sitting here with a camera looking right at you, wanting to tell pieces of my story and kind of relate. And part of the reason that I want to do this is in this desire to make videos and this desire to share my perspective on the world. I think it's only fair to let you know who I am. And for a lot of you, even those of you that have known me for years, this is probably the first time you've ever really gotten the chance to know what's happening in here and what drives it. What really makes me, who and what I am. So I really, really do enjoy that. And to this point, all of my videos, every single one of them, has always had some kind of musical component in it. And it's not for the sake of my own vanity, because sometimes my singing is terrible. And I really do mean that. It's mostly because it's my love letter to the music that's been a part of my life that has always been inspirational to me, or reminds me of the mental aspect of climbing out of something, and just the grit and determination that it took to move beyond something. So today will be no different. How could it be? I can't change my spots. I have to continue to be who I am. And literally, the first piece of popular music that made me think about singing something that wasn't in a hymn book or wasn't in a book of standards, or children's music, or whatever I can get my hands on at the time as I was growing up. But when I hit about the 6th or 7th grade, it's the first time I actually heard this particular album, and it's going to go on to be literally one of the most iconic to me and influential to me, because it got me to open up. It literally became a set of ballads that became a standard that I would practice singing every day. And this is back when I was good. So I would literally sing every day. And one of the songs on this album would always kind of pop up. And I know that it's an R&B album. It's songs that are meant to be for romantic purposes, but they all took on different meanings to me, especially back then. And this song is called Given a Chance, written, recorded, performed by a man known as Kenneth Babyface Edmonds. This song, to me, what wasn't about the the literal interpretation of someone giving a relationship or a person a chance. This song to me was about me giving myself a chance, because my life would not have turned out this way if I couldn't get past my own shell. If I couldn't break free of the anxiety that not only had shackled me at that point, but it muzzled me. It completely and totally silenced me to the point where I felt I had no voice. So that's what this song kind of means for me. It always will connect me back to being that kid. And then it'll connect me back to learning how to evolve beyond being that kid. So, my standard, I will always say this: if you haven't heard the real song "Belize," by all means, find the Tender Lover album, published way back in maybe 1988 or 1989. I can't remember the year, but whatever that was, go find it. The Tender Lover album. The song's called "Given a Chance." If you haven't heard the real thing with the music, owe it to yourself, especially if you enjoy my warbling through it, to actually get out there, listen to the real thing. All right. So let's do this and be happy, right? So here we go. So, you're not alone, no, and no one's gonna hurt your heart again, and this I know, yes, you can count on me, I'll be there as your friend. For no one knows the pain that you've endured. They took the best from you, and girl, I know you gave them all you've got, and you tried, they play around, and you cried, they let you down. You gave them everything you had, they treated you oh so bad, and given a chance, I'll make it up to you. Given a chance, I'll prove this world was wrong. Given a chance, I'll give my all to you. I'll teach this world a lesson, and I'll never let you fall. Given a chance. It's not your fault, no, that you were born with such a trusting heart. Erase that thought. You're so beautiful, please stay the way you are. And no one understands how much it hurts. You try to make it work, and girl, I know, yeah, gave it all you've got. And don't cry, it's over now. Don't sigh, things are better now. I will give you everything you need. You can always count on me. I'll give it a chance. I'll make it up to you. Give it a chance. I'll prove this world was wrong. Give it a chance. And I'll give my all to you. I'll teach this world the lesson, and I'll never let you fall. No. And you cry, they let you down, and you sigh, they play around. And I will give you everything you need. You can always count on me, and I'll give it a chance. I'll make it up to you, and give it a chance. I'll prove this world was wrong. Give it a chance. I'll make it up to you. I'll teach this world a lesson, and I'll never let you fall. Give it a chance. It really, really does bring me back. It really does. But let's fast forward at least a little bit. And this one, it's another song by Green Day. And I break into some Green Day from time to time. I kind of enjoy their journey musically because it kind of followed a similar pattern of brattiness and then kind of waking up and being more awake to the world around me and kind of feeling my connection and where I do have a place, in the world at large. And this is kind of one of the songs that just really makes me think about that. And I wanted to share this one as well. And this is kind of going to be the finale, the closer, because it's easier to sing, I guess. I don't know. I don't really have a reason for it, but I don't have much of a link where I could say these songs are linked together. This song's called Are We the Waiting? Again, if you're not familiar, you got to go out and find this song, listen to it. You got to hear it the way it was intended to be heard. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to say that go out, find the song Are We the Waiting by Green Day. I'm going to get into it now with you. And once this one's over, so will this video will be over as well. So let's do this. Let's end strong. All right. So here we go. Starry nights, city lights coming down over me. Scars with no. Oh my God, I messed that up. Let's just flip that. Start over. So here we go. Starry nights, city lights coming down over me. Skyscrapers, stargazers in my head. Are we are the waiting unknown. Raging love, the story of my life. The Jesus of suburbia is a lie. And screaming, are we are the way. And screaming, are we are the way. Forget me nots, second thoughts live in isolation. Fairy tales. Forgotten a word. I hate when this happens. I wanted to end this in a strong way. And we will. We absolutely will, because I will not let this kind of go down this way. We will do this if we have to look it up. And this is not it. This is not it. All right, here we go. This is it. Now we found it. So start over for this particular one. So here we go. We're going to do this right. We're going to finish off strong. We're going to make this work right here, right now, because we have the internet. And the internet is the ultimate thing that makes it okay to forget stuff, because it brings it right back up. So here we go. Starry nights, city lights coming down over me. Skyscrapers, stargazers in my head. Are we are the way unknown. This dirty town was burning down in my dreams. Lost and found, city bound in my dreams. And screaming, are we are the waiting. And screaming, are we are the waiting. Forget me nots and second thoughts live in isolation. Heads or tails, fairy tales in my mind. Are we are the way unknown. The rage and love, the story of my life. The Jesus of suburbia is a lie. And screaming, are we are the waiting. And screaming, are we are the waiting unknown. Are we are the waiting. And screaming, are we are the way unknown. One last side note for anybody that gets excited. The line in the song that says the Jesus of suburbia is a lie doesn't necessarily mean that Jesus is a lie. It's actually a construct about the modern interpretation of Jesus that we have, kind of today, which is secular and selfish and weird. But that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video, which, trust me, we will get into later. But for now, just want to say goodnight. Thank you for everyone for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I certainly hope you come back for more, and absolutely leave comments. I definitely want to see them. I thank you all once again. Good night.